Hi everybody, I'm Phil Fatica and welcome to the Mill Creek Government Channel. This is Channel 9. A very special program and a very special gentleman for you today. We are going to be talking about what is known as a Children's Advocacy Center. We have one right here in the Erie area, and as Michael Gaines said to me, it might be the best kept secret of all because people go, okay, what is the Children's Advocacy Center? Michael, the ball is in your court. Go ahead.
Thank you, Phil. It's a pleasure to be here today. The Children's Advocacy Center is both a place and a process. We are the place where a child is brought who has disclosed that they've been possibly abused or there's some thought they may have been, to be interviewed by a professionally trained interviewer. The interview is recorded, and those who are involved in investigating these type of things would be able to watch that video or watch the live taping of it through closed circuit television. In this way, a child only has to tell the story once, and that's a very important thing.
When you say abuse,
Yeah.
Physically
abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse, or neglect.
Okay. The center travels under a name, though, that I'm pretty sure almost everybody knows, and that is the
Bradley H. Folk Children's Advocacy Center.
Oh, yeah. And Brad was the former
district attorney here in Erie County, passed away a couple years ago. He was instrumental, along with a couple other community leaders, in pulling together a task force which resulted in the Advocacy Center being formed.
Okay. So how do the children get to you? Who do they get referred? Do they just actually walk right in the building? And by the way, where are you located?
The Children's Advocacy Center is at 2005 West 8th Street. Old timers around will know it's the old Eagles Club. And children have to be referred to us, either through the Department of Office of Children and Youth or through law enforcement or the DA's office.
The notes that I was going through say that the numbers are really almost epidemic and staggering to me. Comment.
Well, the numbers both nationally and locally that are known are huge. There are 25,000 reports of child abuse in Erie County. Not all of them are founded to be true, but of those that rise to the level of coming to us, we see in excess of 400 children a year.
Now that's, as we're sitting here, that's more than one a day. And that's the 7-day week, not the 5-day work week.
Correct.
That, when a number I read there, that was just, I couldn't believe that. That was just, I'll give you the tough question now.
Yeah.
Why is this occurring? Why are we reading and seeing and hearing so much about this as we're taping the murder that's occurred in Orlando, the Casey Anthony trial?
Yes.
This has become the electronic darling. Every day they are on top of it. The print media reports it occasionally, but the TV stations in Orlando are broadcasting it from beginning to end. They've given up all their programming to broadcast that trial. Why is it that we are getting more reports of this, or is it because the media is reporting more on it? It is happening more often, and if so, why? That's a tough one, I know. Why is this happening?
We would say we don't believe that the incidents of child abuse are greater now than they've been.
Okay.
We don't believe that. What we do believe is that through education and through publicity, even through things like this trial you mentioned in Florida, or some of the local events that we've heard in the news over the last couple years here of tragic things that have been done to children.
I think we can name two of them safely and not reveal confidentiality. The one that happened a couple of years ago, you want to comment on that? The young lady who was stolen from her home?
That certainly made great headlines here. The case of the 2-year-old who was taken from her home and killed. And obviously that's not a child that we got to interview or we got to work with, but we did follow the case and we did follow the investigation because we helped to coordinate the various agencies that work on these things.
And the more recent one is the one that's bubbling as we're taping right now, and currently, and that would be the young girl whose body was found in a suitcase.
Yes, and again,
that would qualify for your
it qualifies,
being brought into play.
It does. We both case manage more than what we just interview. When you're talking situations like that where the child has been killed, obviously we can't do an interview, we can't meet the child, we can't refer the child to the professionals who could help them heal. That's what we'd like to do when we find, which most cases are of living children. In these cases not, but we work with the families still, we work with the agencies that are doing the investigation to try to see what has happened and how we can help it not happen.
I'm interested in you having said to me that these really, there aren't any more cases than there have been. They're just being reported more often because there's a mechanism with which to do this and people take advantage of that.
There's several things there, yes. First of all, anyone who has a suspicion of a child possibly being abused or neglected can call 1-800-CHILDLINE. That is a central location in Harrisburg. The people there take the information. It can be an anonymous report and then it's brought back to local Office of Children and Youth or law enforcement to investigate and follow up.
So the follow-up to that would be they don't necessarily call you and say, they would call Mill Creek Police, Erie Police, Fairview, Northeast Harbor Creek Police, yes, and they would then get eventually to you.
Correct.
And you would put the wheels in motion. There's a huge dollar figures attached to this too, which are just stunning to me. I stopped reading and I went, oh my gosh, these numbers are almost incomprehensible. Just, if you got a couple you can remember, because some of them are so big and so large. Let me just, some of these numbers here, I think that one sticks in my mind, that the total cost to all of us.
Well, throughout the United States, there is 103 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars, the cost of child abuse and neglect in this country. That includes the cost of the investigations, the costs of the medical care, the costs of the counseling, the things that have to take to put a child back together, so to speak, once they've been traumatized in this way.
Right. I've once heard that, you know, when you start talking about numbers of billion and trillion, they lose their, I don't know what the word is, they lose the quality of what that number is. But I read somewhere that if you could start counting from the moment you were born and you could count a number a second, it would take you a little over 32 years to count to 1 billion.
Yes.
I mean, that's just an incredible number. So here you are talking $100 and some billion.
Yes.
The components that you deal with are so many and varied, not only in the state, of course, but locally.
Yes.
And is there any more being reported? Are there more sexual abuses being reported? Are there any more mental abuses being reported? Or as you said, actually the numbers haven't changed, it's just that we're now able to gather data and report it out better?
I think that not only that we gather data better, but I think that there are more people coming forward because of that ability to report. There's also a law in Pennsylvania about those who are in positions that deal with children all the time are mandated to make report if they see something. So teachers, medical professionals, law enforcement, clergy people, whomever it might be, if they see a child in danger, they make a good faith report.
Thank you for saying that. What risk do I have as a former teacher to say, but you know, I'm suspecting that Michael is being abused, and I report, and the parents go, who are you to stick your nose in our business? This is none of your business. This is confidential information. By the way, Phil, you should be fired for spreading lies about me.
If someone makes a good faith report, it's not done because they have a grudge against the person and they want to get back at the guy for some reason. If they make a good faith report, they are protected by law from any repercussions. That is one of the things to help protect children, because it's first and foremost about protecting children. The people who do the investigating, they're human. Can they make a mistake? I'm sure they could, but they're very good and they are very cautious. And I know between our good Office of Children and Youth, our good people in law enforcement in the various departments, the district attorney's office, our court system, I think that there's a lot of checks and balances to make sure that innocent people aren't falsely accused or wrongly accused, and that those who actually do make it through the system and are found guilty are indeed that.
My notes indicated that I think it's 60% or more, is it 80%? 80% of these sexual abuse allegations, investigations involve females.
Yes.
Would that be correct?
That would be correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they would range in age, I'm sure, down to toddlers.
We have seen sexual abuse to infants.
Okay.
When you talk about children, that goes the whole way from 0 to age 18. So it could be anywhere in that age range.
The process, and I'm looking at my notes here again, would start with, let's say, it's a multidisciplinary team that kind of lines up in a column here and checks and says, yes, I think it's about time we go see Michael and his people. Would that be about right? So let's start with, let's say, law enforcement. Police come, knock on the door, holy smokes, what's going on here? The neighbors have been complaining, the kid's crying at 2 in the morning, they're hearing noises, screamings. What would be the process that the police, what right do the police have to say, ma'am, mister, it looks like this child is being abused, I'm going to remove this child from your care? Do they have the right to do that?
They can do that if there's a situation where they believe the child is in danger. That's not the most common scenario.
Okay. The most common scenario being?
Typically, what happens is a child discloses to some trusted adult, maybe it's a teacher, maybe it's a family member, a parent, that somebody has done something to them inappropriate. That adult calls the authorities.
Okay.
And the authorities come, and as long as the child is safe in the environment, that the person who's alleged to have done something is not part of that that household, so to speak, then the child wouldn't be removed. The child is only taken away from a situation if the child's in danger.
Is that where then there's a component of the Office of Children and Youth that takes children and puts them in foster care?
That would be one way a child could end up in foster care if they were in that situation. Again, it's not the most common way that things are dealt with. I say that, I guess, again, because that seems to be the public image, and people are afraid to call because they're afraid they're going to break up a family. Typically, it's not that type of a situation. The child, as long as the child is safe, it can remain in the family setting or with relatives. Foster care with strangers is a last resort.